Ma femme veut sortir avec d'autres hommes, sentir comment ils la font se sentir. J'ai ri et je lui ai donné un ultimatum. My wife told me she wanted to go out with other men basically to see how being with them would make her feel and he actually looked before giving her an ultimatum. She said she just wanted to experience new emotion, something different from the life we had built together. I guess he could have been shocked, but instead he responded in a way she never would have expected. Looking back, maybe should have seen it coming. He already knew she spent a lot of time with her friend Tessa. That alone had been bothering me. Tessa was divorced and, in my opinion, living a pretty wild lifestyle. She was always jumping from one girlfriend to another, and honestly, he couldn't even keep track nor did he really try. He just didn't like her, plain and simple. Still, he never tried to interfere with her friendship with my wife, Megan. In hindsight, maybe that was my mistake. I'm not sure anymore. What I don't know is that Tessa played a huge part in pushing my wife toward breaking my heart. Megan and he had been married for 17 years. Our daughter, Tanya, was 15, and her son, Clay, was 2 years younger. We lived what he thought was a pretty normal middle-class life. Megan worked at a medical office and he was doing well as a salesman. We had a comfortable home, 2 good cars, and at least from my perspective a wonderful family life. Or so he believed. The first thing that Megan didn't feel the same came one Friday evening. When he walked through the door, he saw Megan and Tessa sitting at the kitchen table together. Tessa had her usual smug smile plastered on her face, but Megan looked tense. You didn't have to be a genius to know something was up. Honey, Megan said as she stood to give me a kiss. Hey, sweetheart, he answered while setting down my briefcase and hugging her. After we kissed, he glanced over at Tessa and gave her a quick hey. Then he grabbed my briefcase again. I'm gonna head upstairs and change. Alright, honey. Want a coffee? She asked, choosing her word a little too carefully. Tessa and I have something to tell you when you come back down. What is going on? He asked, feeling like whatever it was, he should probably read right away. Why don't you go change first? She insisted. I'll make your coffee, and we'll talk when you come back, okay? He looked straight into her eyes, trying to figure out what the hell was happening. She was definitely nervous about something. A chill ran up my spine when he caught Tessa's satisfied smirk. Whatever they were planning, he already knew he wasn't going to like it. My mind was racing as he climbed the stair, one step at a time. He must have imagined a dozen different scenarios. None of them came close to what was actually waiting for me. He changed out of my suite and into some comfortable Pan and Apollo. When he got back to the kitchen, my coffee was already waiting. Tessa was talking non-stop, like she was rehearsing whatever they were about to say. Her voice was low, so he couldn't take it make out the word. They didn't even notice me until he was already sitting down. He took a sip of my coffee, looked at both of them, and asked, alright, what is going on? What is this about? Megan hesitated. She sat there in silence until Tessa nudged her. Go on, Tessa whispered. I love you and I'll understand. Megan lowered her head, like she couldn't bring herself to look at me. Honey, you know I love you so much, so please don't take this the wrong way. She took a deep breath. I want to go on a few dates with Tessa. Not all the time, she added quickly. Just once in a while. He didn't get it. What kind of that? Whatever the answer was going to be, Min was already know but he needed to hear her say it. You mean, with other men? He asked. Before Megan could speak, Tessa jumped in. That doesn't mean she doesn't love you, Ethan. He wanted to tell her he wasn't talking to her, but later continue. He knew this ridiculous idea wasn't coming from Megan. It had Tessa written all over it. It's just for fun, Tessa went on. It doesn't mean anything. We talked about it, and she told me that buzzed you, she's only ever been with one other man. That is crazy, Ethan. I'm sure you've been with way more women than she has. She need to enjoy herself a little. He turned to Megan. So, being with me isn't enjoyable? She finally looked up. He tried to hide the hurt on my face, but I'm pretty sure he failed. Honey, that is not what he meant. But it's different for men, Tessa cut in again. It's just variety. Nothing more. A lot of men love their wife enough to let them have a little fun on the side. It's nothing, Ethan, just fun. And honestly, Megan and he agreed it would be fair if you wanted to fool around with other women too. He looked at Megan again. He couldn't tell if it was fear or regret in her eyes, but she was definitely beginning to realize just how bad this idea actually was. He said flatly. My voice had no emotion left in it. He felt the tears coming, but he refused to let them fall. Tessa, give us a minute. I'll talk to you later. She gave me that confidence smirk again, convinced she'd boxed me into a corner. Where are you going? Megan finally asked. I'll be back soon, he said, and nothing more. He walked into my home office and closed the door. Ever since he was a kid, he've taken life seriously. This moment was no exception. He've never been the kind of guy who at having fun he can party like anyone else, and he've always had a pretty decent sense of humor. But when something serious comes up, he believed in facing it head on. So I sat down in front of my computer, fighting back tears. He started typing out my response to Megan's proposal. Dear Megan. He never imagined that the woman he loved with everything he have could hurt me this deeply. But when you told me you wanted to have intimate relationship outside our marriage, you broke my heart. I know your friend Tessa is behind most of this, but the fact that you even consider the idea already damaged our marriage and everything we built together. To make my position absolutely clear regarding this planned betrayal, I want you to understand that I will consider any intimate act with a man or a woman a violation of our vow and a complete act of infidelity. And to be even more specific, intimate act include any kind of physical or oral stimulation, whether given or received. If you ignore how I feel and move forward with your affair, here's what will happen. On Monday morning, I will file for divorce immediately. I'll contact our family and everyone we know, and I'll explain exactly why I'm ending our marriage. I'll sit down with our children and tell them the truth about our separation. Before the divorce is finalized, I will do everything in my power to find out who you're involved with. If any of them are married, I will inform their wife. I won't show mercy or sympathy to them or their family, so make sure they know what they're risking before you drag them into this and put their lives in jeopardy. Once we start the divorce process, there will be no turning back. We'll always be connected because of our kids, but emotionally, I'll be gone. I'll start rebuilding my life without you. You have a choice to make, my dear. Everything above describes the consequence if you go through with your plan to sleep with other men. However, if you choose to stay in this marriage, there will be conditions. Just knowing you even thought about an affair has hurt me more than I thought was possible. Right now, I don't know if I can forgive you or if our marriage can be repaired, but I'm willing to try if you accept my term. Here they are. Cut all contact with Tessa immediately and never speak to her again for any reason. Until I decide otherwise, you'll move your things into the guest room and sleep there. You'll schedule an appointment with your doctor and get tested for STDs. I won't consider any kind of intimacy with you until I know you're completely healthy. If any test comes back positive, I will file for divorce immediately. You'll agree to have a GPS installed in your car, and ILL have access to the tracking information every day. You'll answer any question about your location without hesitation. If you accept this term, ILL do my best to forgive you. But rebuilding my trust will take time and patience. Now, sweetheart, you have to decide. I pray you choose wisely. Hurt, but still loving you. Ethan. I added a list of people copied on the letter, Tessa Simpson, Monsieur and Mrs. Daryl Oskin, Monsieur and Mrs. Bryce Anderson, and her family attorney, John Coulter. I finished typing. I could hear Megan and Tessa talking in the living room. They left the kitchen and were sitting on the couch. I wished I knew what they were saying, but in the end it didn't matter. My decision was already made, and I wasn't negotiating. I walked over to the side table, addressed envelope, and printed copy of the letter for my parents, Megan's parents, and her attorney. I sealed each one and added stamp. Then he printed 2 extra copies for the mastermind behind this whole mess. Both women turned around when they heard my office door open. "I'll be right back," he said. I headed for the front door. "Where are you going?" Megan asked. "I've got something to mail," he said, stepping outside before she could finish. He walked to the corner, slipped the 3 letters into the mailbox, and came back a few minutes later. When he returned, he walked straight over to the 2 women sitting on my couch and handed each of them a copy of my statement. "What is this?" Megan asked. "You asked if they thought about what we talked about," he said. "And yes, he did. What you're holding is exactly what he think." He wrote it down so there wouldn't be any confusion. They both started reading carefully. He watched Megan's face closely. Tears rolled down her cheek almost immediately. "You monster!" Tessa shouted. "What kind of jerk does something like this?" "Come on, Megan," she said, reaching for my wife's hand. "Shut up!" Megan yelled, jerking her hand away. "That's my husband, and I love him. Nobody not even you get to talk about him like that in front of me." The look of shock on Tessa's face was priceless. "Get out," Megan continued. "I don't ever want to see you in my house again, or in my life. I don't want to hear from you or about you ever again." Megan stood up and grabbed Tessa by the arm. "Goodbye, Tessa," she said, walking her to the door. "I'm serious. I listened to you, and now my marriage is falling apart. Stay away from me." Those were her final words before she slammed the door in Tessa's face. She turned back toward me, tears streaming down her cheek. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I never meant to hurt you. Yes, I'll accept your conditions, every single one of them. Whatever you need, I'll do it. I swear, Ethan, I haven't done anything wrong, but I'll take the STD test gladly. Just tell me that someday you'll forgive me. I know it'll take time, but I love you. I don't want a divorce. God, I can't even imagine my life without you." He said he'd try, Megan, he told her. "That's all I can promise right now. But there's one thing you need to understand: one mistake, one slip, even something as small as being in the same room as somebody who is naked, and it's over." "I know," she whispered, her voice heavy and sad. "I know it'll take time to earn back your trust, but I don't want anyone but you." Now I see what he almost threw away. That night, he helped her move her things into the guest room. For the moment, we told the kids we'd had an argument and needed to sleep separately until we cooled down. They didn't fully buy it. You could see the uncertainty all over their face, but they accepted our explanation with a bit of caution. The next day, he went out and bought a GPS tracker for Meghan's car without telling her. He also picked up a phone recording device, something simple enough that you just plug it into a phone line and it record both sides of any call made or received. Once the call ends, the recording shut off. He installed the device in my office and I hid it behind the filing cabinet, just to be safe. On Sunday, he installed the GPS in Meghan's car and loaded the tracking software on my laptop. He was hopeful, but still unsure about where we were headed as a couple. Meghan's job only required her to work 4 days a week. She had Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. And I expected, on Monday he kept an eye on the GPS signal all day while he was at work. She went to the grocery store around 10 a.m., but other than that, the car stayed in the garage. Even so, he was anxious, almost sick with worry, waiting to get home and listen to the phone recording. The kids were doing homework at the kitchen table when he got back, and Meghan was making dinner. Honey, she said, rushing up to kiss me. He saw the disappointment in her eyes when he turned my head and her lips landed on my cheek instead. Can we talk later? She whispered. After the kids go to bed? My heart started pounding. Yeah, he said quietly, feeling the tension rising inside me. After dinner, he spent some time with the kids, then told everyone he had work to finish and went into my office. He closed the door, put on headphone, and turned on the recorder so only he could hear. My stomach tightened as the first call began. It was Tessa. Hello? Meghan answered on the second ring. Hey, beautiful. Is he at work? Can you talk? Tessa, didn't I make myself clear the other day? Meghan said sharply. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're not my friend. Just accept it. Oh, come on, Meghan. Who would have thought Ethan would react like that? He didn't mean to mess up your marriage. He don't care, Tessa. The first thing Ethan demanded was that he cut you out of my life, and I'm not taking any chance. If you call me again, I'll tell everyone you tried to destroy my marriage. I'm serious. Don't ever contact me again. The line went silent. My heartbeat finally settled. Maybe just maybe there was still hope for us. The next call was from her parents. And God, they let her have it. Hello? Meghan answered with a sigh. I think she assumed it was Tessa again. Meghan, we received a very disturbing letter from Ethan. What does this mean? Her mother demanded. Oh, Mom. Yeah, he made a big mistake. A mistake? You told Ethan you wanted to have an affair, her mother snapped. Well, not exactly an affair. You know my friend Tessa, so she? Before she could finish, he heard her father's voice. Who is it? Are you talking to Meghan? Give me the phone. Dad, she said, her voice trembling. What is wrong with you? Is this how we raised you? To cheat on your husband? How could you even think about it? I'm ashamed of you. We both are. He heard Meghan sniffle through her tears. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know he hurt you and Mom. And he definitely hurt Ethan. He regret everything. Her sobbing grew louder. Her father must have realized how broken she sounded, because his voice softened. He just don't understand what got into you, sweetheart. I hope you told him you were going to follow every rule he gave you. Yes, Dad. He already cut Tessa out of my life. He told her he never want to talk to her again. And? I can't get STD test done at my work it be too embarrassing but I'm going to call a clinic out of town and do them there. She paused, took a shaky breath, and continued. And I'm going to be the best wife any man could ask for, Dad. I know how lucky I am to have a second chance. Believe me, I'm not messing this up again. They talked for a while longer, and by the end of the call all three of them were crying. But the most revealing call of the night was the one Megan made to my mother. Mom, Megan said. Oh, sweetheart, it's so good to hear your voice, my mom answered warmly. How are you? Well, apparently you haven't gotten Ethan's letter yet. A letter? No, what is going on? My mom asked, her voice tightening with concern. Megan hesitated before she continued. Qu'y a-t-il, Megan? Qu'est-ce qui ne va pas? Les enfants vont bien. Il est arrivé quelque chose à Ethan? La panique était évidente dans la voix de ma mère. Non, maman, les enfants vont bien. Ethan va bien. C'est juste que, j'ai fait quelque chose de très stupide et ça a blessé notre mariage. Ethan a menacé de demander le divorce. Un divorce? Qu'est-ce que tu as fait? Demanda ma mère. Je lui ai dit que je voulais voir d'autres hommes, avoua Megan. Quoi? Pourquoi tu dirais une chose pareille? Je ne sais pas, maman, c'était idiot. J'ai laissé une amie me bourrer le crâne de bêtises. Elle est célibataire et sort tout le temps avec différents hommes. Elle raconte toujours ses histoires de relations avec eux, en disant que chacun est différent, que certains sont meilleurs que d'autres, mais que chacun a sa particularité. Elle m'a fait croire que je passais à côté de tout ce plaisir. Tout le temps, elle me disait que je devrais sortir et profiter de la vie. Elle m'a dit qu'elle pourrait me présenter autant d'hommes que je voudrais, qu'on pourrait sortir ensemble. Elle continuait encore et encore, et comme une idiote, à force d'entendre ça, j'ai fini par l'écouter. Megan, tu es mariée. Elle est célibataire. Ça fait une énorme différence, répondit ma mère. Je sais, dit Megan, mais elle m'a présenté une amie à elle, une femme mariée qui s'appelle Carla. Elle m'a dit que le mari de Carla la laissait voir d'autres hommes tout le temps. Elle disait qu'il l'aimait tellement qu'il voulait qu'elle s'amuse, après tout, ce n'était que du plaisir. Toutes les deux ont essayé de me convaincre que Ethan ferait pareil parce qu'il m'aimait. Au fond, je savais qu'il n'accepterait jamais ça, mais j'ai quand même suivi leur influence. Je n'ai jamais pris le temps de réfléchir à quel point ça pourrait le blesser. La douleur dans la voix de ma mère était évidente. Oh, Megan, comment as-tu pu, sanglota-t-elle. Je suis désolé, maman. Pardonne-moi, répondit Megan. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Il t'a quitté? Et les enfants? Non, il ne m'a pas quitté. Il m'a donné un ultimatum, couper les ponts avec cette femme et abandonner toute idée d'être avec un autre homme, ou divorcer. Nous allons aussi commencer une thérapie de couple. Il a envoyé une lettre expliquant la situation à mes parents, au tien et à notre avocat. Mes parents l'ont déjà reçue, mais je pensais qu'il faudrait un jour de plus pour qu'elle vous parvienne. J'entendis ma mère pleurer. Megan, je ne sais pas quoi dire. Je n'aurais jamais cru que tu pouvais être aussi cruelle. J'espère, pour ton bien, que Ethan t'aime autant que je le pense. Si j'avais fait une chose pareille à Bryce, il m'aurait mise à la porte sur le champ. Je sais, maman, dit Megan en pleurant. Je te promets que plus jamais je ne le blesserai. J'ai failli le perdre, mais je vais lui prouver chaque jour du reste de ma vie à quel point je suis désolé. S'il te plaît, pardonne-moi. Les entendre pleurer toutes les deux me serra la gorge et fit monter les larmes à mes yeux. Vers 22 heures ce soir-là, nous avons vérifié que les enfants étaient couchés, puis nous nous sommes assis sur le canapé pour discuter. Je ne savais pas exactement de quoi nous allions parler, mais je vis déjà des larmes se former dans les yeux de Megan quand elle commença. Aujourd'hui, j'ai parlé à nos parents. Papa et maman ont reçu ta lettre. Mon Dieu, papa m'a incendié, dit-elle en essayant de rire nerveusement. En fait, elle se corrigea, tout le monde m'a incendié. Tes parents n'ont pas encore reçu la lettre, mais ils devraient la voir demain, alors je les ai appelés pour atténuer le choc. Dommage que je n'ai pas pensé à le faire pour mes propres parents. Tout le monde est tellement blessé et déçu de moi, et pourquoi ne le serait-il pas? Moi-même, je suis déçu de moi. Je voulais juste te dire encore une fois à quel point je suis désolé. Elle essuya ses larmes avant de continuer. Ah, et ne sois pas en colère, mais je dois te dire que Tessa a appelé. Je crois qu'elle pensait que je plaisantais quand je lui ai dit qu'on n'était plus amis. Mais je lui ai redit que si elle me contactait encore, je dirais à tout le monde qu'elle a essayé de saboter mon mariage. Elle n'a pas beaucoup d'amis et je ne pense pas qu'elle veuille risquer de perdre celle qu'elle a, donc je doute d'avoir encore de ses nouvelles. Même si je savais déjà tout cela, j'étais content qu'elle soit honnête avec moi au sujet des appels. Je lui pris la main, lui souris et la remerciai pour sa sincérité. La semaine suivante, Megan a fait les tests pour les IST. Pour être honnête, je n'ai jamais vraiment cru qu'elle m'avait trompé. Si ça avait été le cas, je pense que Tessa n'aurait pas pu s'empêcher de me le balancer en pleine face, elle aurait forcément lâché l'information. Je sais que le VIH peut rester dormant dans le corps pendant des années avant de se manifester, mais tous les autres tests sont revenus négatifs. Alors, après 3 mois, j'ai enfin laissé Megan revenir dans notre lit. Au début, notre intimité était un peu étrange, mais Megan n'a jamais abandonné et a travaillé dur pour reconstruire ce que nous avions. Même après que tout soit redevenu normal, elle faisait tout ce que je voulais avec enthousiasme. Je pense que notre vie amoureuse est meilleure que jamais aujourd'hui. Les séances de thérapie de couple ont aussi énormément aidé. Tessa et son ami ont vraiment fait un lavage de cerveau à ma femme. Notre thérapeute a fait revivre à Megan chaque conversation encore et encore. Même le mari de cette bêtise est entré dans l'histoire. D'après ce qu'elle m'a dit, il a tout fait pour la convaincre qu'il laissait sa femme voir d'autres hommes par amour. Il a dit à Megan que tout homme qui aimait vraiment sa femme devait être capable de mettre sa jalousie de côté pour la rendre heureuse. Honnêtement, je pense qu'il espérait pouvoir coucher avec elle à un moment donné. Un jour, je compte bien retrouver ce type et lui exprimer en ma gratitude pour son aide à essayer de séduire ma femme. À eux trois, ils ont vraiment mis une énorme pression sur elle. Cela fait maintenant plus d'1 an depuis ce jour désastreux et, même si je n'ai jamais eu la moindre raison de soupçonner quoi que ce soit depuis, je continue parfois à surveiller les déplacements de Megan via le GPS. Je vérifie aussi ses appels de temps en temps. Une fois que la graine du doute est plantée, il est difficile de l'arracher. Le mois prochain, nous allons célébrer les 50 ans de mariage de ses parents. En regardant tout ce que nous avons traversé et où nous en sommes aujourd'hui, je suis assez confiant qu'en 31 ans et 3 mois, nous célébrerons le nôtre. Commentaire Monsieur Reddit. Cette histoire nous fait réfléchir sur les limites dans une relation et l'impact que les influences extérieures peuvent avoir. Ce qui s'est passé ici est une véritable épreuve de confiance, de repentir et de reconstruction. C'est impressionnant de voir comment une simple idée peut devenir si destructrice lorsqu'elle est encouragée par les mauvaises personnes. Mais au final, ce qui compte le plus, c'est la façon dont on gère les conséquences. Pensez-vous que le protagoniste a bien fait de donner une seconde chance à sa femme? Ou la confiance, une fois brisée, ne peut-elle jamais être totalement restaurée? Donnez votre avis dans les commentaires. Si vous avez aimé la vidéo, laissez un like et n'oubliez pas de vous abonner à la chaîne pour plus d'histoires et de discussions intrigantes. Et n'oubliez pas d'écouter notre podcast pour plus d'histoires inspirantes comme celle-ci, le lien est dans la description et dans la carte à l'écran. Merci d'avoir regardé et à la prochaine.